And it's streaming.
Done.
Is it working? Sure.
Hold on.
I've got the
YouTube.
bell rung.
I think.
Oh, it sure is.
All right.
Woo!
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the round table for Secrets of Monster Island. I get to be the host this time around. I'm Brooke Bullock, and I'm joined by the Secrets of Monster Island cast. It's going to be Secrets Unleashed instead of like Monsters Unleashed. I don't know. But anyway, let's go around the horn. Tell us who you are, what you do as far as your character and ancestry and class and all that good fun stuff. We'll start with the guy who's God. And that would be Aiden Cross, at least on this little island anyway.
Yeah. I'm Aiden Cross. I am the Dungeon Master. The most notable NPC I guess I play is Arlube, the Grung Healer, as he journeys with the party and just kind of goes along with their wacky escapades.
I got to admit, Arlube's probably like my second favorite character, just because of his like low key rolling his eyes.
I can't believe he stayed with us this long.
I know.
I think he's got the Stockholm syndrome.
At this point, probably.
I should be better and not interrupt as we keep doing intros with that. Go ahead, Michael Cross. You guys related and might be alphabetical.
Yeah, so. If Aiden's God and I'm his dad, does that mean like Kronos or something like that? I don't know. Yeah, I'm Michael Cross. With most people will know me through Red Dirt D&D as Gideon Block / Gaz, but on Secrets of Monster Island, I play Arlen Nightstone, the monk, moody emo monk, I guess. Shadow monk. Yeah.
Awesome.
That's me.
Yeah, that's very cool. How about Mark?
Whoa, what? Oh, I am Yodele Heehoo of the Philadelphia Heehoos. Ego Knight fighter. I just I wanted to build a Batman, and after several iterations, this was the best one I could come up with.
Oh, that's kind of cool. That's interesting. We'll have to talk more about that later to plug in there. So Derek Rusnick.
Yeah, so I am Derek Rusnick. I play the half-elf ranger Yuro, and I try to be the adult in the group, but it does not work.
You stand too far away to be the adult.
Well, you send your kids out to the playground, you sit on the bench, and you're like, yeah, that one's mine. A lot of times, that one's not mine.
Yuri does have his work cut out for him.
I tried, and now all I can do is just go with the shenanigans.
I like it. And last but not least, a player and character that came in a little bit later in episode 10 maybe?
7.
Episode 7. So it's Mr. Andrew. Who do you play? What's going on there?
Yeah, my name's Andrew Sheffy, and I play Alaxador, a blues singer. He is a Topaz Gem Dragonborn. He is a blue topaz and a death cleric. So yeah.
Is that how you say that name? Andrew?
Yeah, it's weird. You just keep calling me egg salad. That's fine.
Alexidor egg salad. That's really cool. I noticed that we have kind of this theme of shadow, gloom, echo, twilight. How did character creation go about with you guys? Aiden, did you say you wanted a certain thing, or you guys all got together, or it was just random synchronicity? What happened there?
So, yeah, I did not tell them anything. It just kind of happened. So
we were given limits. That was it.
You were given a limit? I wasn't told anything.
Well, there were limits on races, certain races we could do, certain I think basically
certain races. certain races and no artificer was the limit, I believe.
And was that because there's a secret of Monster Island with artificers, or you just didn't want to deal with them?
I
His
will
answer
break
is
a
yes. His
Yeah.
answer is yes.
It's nice to be able to put the DM on the spot for once, right, guys?
I'm pretty sure we do that constantly.
Oh,
There
yeah.
have been multiple times in sessions where Aiden has lost it.
And mostly we blame
You want-
Mark.
Yeah.
If you want a group that can break a DM, it's this group right here. And by group, I mean Mark.
But
That's
to be
cool.
fair, the rest of us just run with it. As soon as Mark starts doing something, it's the and we
Yeah.
just keep going.
Yes, and yes, and
Yes, and
Try not to get too silly.
I know that now we're in the verge of jumping around, spastically, but that's okay. That's the way this group works really well. I've got to say that my personal favorite so far, I think, has been the boots, Mark. When we have when we have Arlen take a spill. Where did that come from? Why did you decide to he won't be needing his boots anymore?
Well, you always loot the corpse. That's the first thing you do. And then, he had to recover. It was a whole big thing. And I know that every time he wanted the boots really bad. And so I came up with another reason why I was going to keep them for another hour or so. It's just, it was funny. It was real funny to me. And that's all this is really for. It was me, then secondarily the fellas, and then thirdly everybody that wants to watch it.
that's right. And we should warn people there could be spoilers from here on out if we
That's
talk about
why I spit them good berries into people's mouths.
it.
It's funny. You get real close to the camera.
It does have a CPR resuscitation aspect to it. Only you just drop a good berry in
It's
people's
not
mouths.
attractive.
It's
No.
not pleasant.
Not at all.
Not that the fans want this level of detail, but does Yodelay kind of like mush it up baby bird for the good, or is it a whole good berry that could get caught in the
Yes.
windpipe?
Yes.
Oh, no, you
yeah.
got to bite it twice to release all the succulents.
if you the third shoe, you'll get the 1 HP. You
Right.
Yeah.
one chomp, two chomp, and then it comes out
yeah.
so that you get the 1 HP of healing.
And then you mush around their cheeks real good until they come to. And then you have to explain things.
That's fantastic and terrible at the same time. So relate this to the Batman concept, Mark. An Echo Knight. What is an Echo Knight?
Yeah.
Oh, he's just a guy that, he was a rich kid who got everything he wanted. His parents were alive and wonderful to him all the time. And so he was bored, and he had got himself an imaginary friend that finally manifested itself into a physical form to whom he could play things with.
Very cool. Do you kind of, as in the lore of Echo Knight, is that something that's always going to be good intentioned toward? That's always going to be good intentioned toward Yodelay, or do we know?
What are you doing? What are you suggesting?
I just, I don't I hadn't seen Aiden pick up a pen yet, so I was just gonna give him a chance to take some notes. So.
I don't
Hang
take
on, watch
notes, they're
this
all in
thing
my
later.
head.
Yeah, he's not like Ash. He doesn't
No.
take notes. He just runs with it. And
Yeah.
the other thing is, this is recorded. He can come back and watch this whenever.
That's
he
right.
wants.
Yes.
And then we don't know what he's taking notes about. That's very
Yeah.
smart. This is very true.
No, that's the scary part.
This is very true. Kind of
No.
Batman-esque.
I
Is
just wanted, ultimately what I wanted was a way to get out of trouble. The nice thing about the Echo Knight is the instant blink back and forth, so I can just go away and not get killed.
Mhm.
There was all this talk about Aiden killing all the PCs in every group that he has. so I didn't want that.
I do not
Yeah.
do that. Just my dad a lot.
And yes, as
he
we
does
mentioned,
kill me a lot.
spoilers. Yeah, it is as okay. So spoilers, like, Michael, is this the fastest that you've had a character in what is considered to be a campaign die? I mean, this was episode 5, so could
No.
possibly have been like second session.
No, I had a drow rogue jump into a fight with some velociraptors, get ripped apart level 2, died instantly.
Oh my!
So no, I've killed off characters much earlier on in the campaign, but
Notice he's taking the victory for the death of the characters,
yeah.
not giving it to the DM.
oh no,
It's
it's
him
never the
doing it.
DM's fault. It's me being stupid. It's always me being stupid. I have paladins. I've had 2 paladins die 3 times. One other paladin almost die, just because I was doing stupid stuff as a paladin. And so
I don't think Arlen's death was stupid. I just think that I don't know. Because like half your like the other parts of your party were like halfway across the map, and you rolled it out once. There was nothing you could have done there.
well, no, Yodelay was saying, get off the ground. Get off. If I jumped up
The
into a
whole
tree,
time
I would
telling
have been
everybody
probably
get
fine.
off the ground.
But no, I'm still walking around on the ground thinking, hey, it's okay. This thing will pop up at any point and kill me, but I'll just stay down here with Arlube.
Umberhawks are nasty.
They are. Whenever they're ran correctly, they can be
Yeah.
very.
Yeah. They're a 1E monster that's really scary. So how about a Shadow Monk? Michael, why did you go with Shadow Monk?
I wanted to do a little bit more of a darker character, and so as I was looking around trying to find something, I'd never really gotten to play a monk for a long period of time. So the idea of being able to play a monk, I was very excited about it, and the idea of being kind of a little bit more on the darker side. I think all of us have a little bit more of a darker attitude than Red Dirt D&D. That's kind of what we're trying to do is be a little bit more darker, a little bit gloomier. But of course, we're the ones who I think have a lot more fun than anybody else because we kind of have tapped into our darker side.
Well, because the characters themselves are pretty dark, but us as like players and DMs, we're just cracking jokes all the time, like constantly. So yeah.
Yeah, Michael, was there a particular ability that you saw in the Shadow Monk list or tree that you went, oh, that's why I want to play this. This is really cool.
I think the ability to later on to be able to basically teleport between dim light areas and darkness areas, I thought was a fairly cool trait. And mostly I like the idea of being more of in the shadows rather than being the happy-go-lucky open hand type of monk.
Yeah, that's so cool. That's so cool. Derek, you play a Gloom Stalker Ranger, which I first encountered through Connor Chenault on the holiday specials.
Mhm.
And I got to admit, man, they seem to have a really cool vibe. What drew you to Gloom Stalkers?
Yeah, so like we've all said, none of us actually ever came with the shadows or the gloom or the darkness or anything like that. We just all kind of just fell into it together. I'm a D&D math nerd, so like optimizer, if you want to call them that. I like the numbers. I like the big rolly dice thing, and with that, I wanted to. You hear that Rangers are underpowered. They're horrible. They're the worst class. All that kind of stuff. And so I wanted to figure out if I could do that. If I could make a viable character as a Ranger. I'll tell you what. This is one of the most fun characters that I've had. We haven't had a whole lot of social interaction when it comes to towns, because he is kind of a dual personality type where he's very upbeat. Like if you'll see in episode 1 where we go to the town. We meet the mayor. We're talking to people, and he's like, "Oh, hi, welcome." Da da da, and very nice. But then as we go out into nature, he's more into his own element. He's a hunter. He's hiding in plain sight, basically in the dark. And so I kind of try to play off of that when it comes to us being in the darkness. And when we fought, what are those, Blink Panthers, or the where
Displacer Beast.
Displacer Beast.
Yeah.
I was just standing right there, but because they used dark vision, they couldn't see me. So I could just stand there in front of them and shoot them with a bow, and it was a lot of fun.
The Displacer Beast fight was really great. And what was that?
I forget about that ability that he has most of the time.
That's cool.
You forget about a lot of stuff. That's what's great.
He's not wrong.
It's really
Not
good
wrong
for
at
us.
all.
If you watch the question that probably comes up the most for Arlen and for Yuri is, are we in dim light? Are they using dark vision? What's the lighting like? Because he wants to teleport. I want them to not be able to see me. And so it's always that's the question that comes up most. What's the lighting situation? Are we in dim light? Are we in darkness? What's going on?
How far away from Alaxidor's torch do we have to be in order to not be seen?
Yep. And I always stay on the very outside edge of that torch, so that if you use dark vision, you can't see me.
There we go. Yodele is. Did your human variant have dark vision?
No,
Okay, so yeah, you got to stay near Alaxidor a little bit.
not anymore.
Oh, do tell.
Wait, where is he? I don't want to ruin everything.
Oh wait, yeah, we are at
We just got
episode 15.
15.
You would
So
have just gotten it.
ooh, we got a
Yeah.
teaser. Yeah, that would have been clearing out some scandalous mafia pirates, right, and taking control of a ship. So
Yeah, you woke up with it
Just
on
after
in
that.
episode
Just
15.
after that.
okay, so
Whenever
we
we
don't.
killed
Oh,
the-
there's a teaser.
Well, no, it was that episode, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where the guy that was guarding the boat, the helmed horror.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. And then and you crafted. Yes,
You have
I
his
just,
helmet
I just
on.
put it on.
It's
yeah.
and can't see anything.
Yeah, that's been
Well,
that's
other
been a
than
really
60 feet
fun
away.
aspect of this game in particular is that from early on we decided to craft the various things that we kill into our respective magic items for the most part. And it's been a lot of fun because it's a very group effort whenever we get these things and figure out who needs what and what we can make for it and who's going to benefit the best. It's fun.
Yeah,
that
Yodele's
is
running
very-
around with umber knuckles and a displacer cloak and a helmed horror's helmet. So
That's
the
very,
collector.
very cool.
the collector.
Definitely last but not least, we have Andrew, who quote unquote joined the party late. And as you came in, you probably knew a little bit about the other characters. No, you just brought it.
No,
Talk to us.
so-
Talk to us
so
about
they-
Alaxidor.
So I actually have a different experience. So they'd already started playing.
Right?
They'd already done several sessions recording, and they decided they needed somebody else.
Because I died.
They need episode 5, right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And so they had reached out and had asked if this was something that I'd be interested in doing and joining. And I was like, yes, I would love to, and so I know nothing about the rest of the cast, nothing about what they've done.
I did
Literally,
not tell him
I
anything.
come in on episode 7. I know nothing. And so literally just talking back and forth with Aiden. And it was like, well, they're really looking, as we were talking through, we need another player and we need a caster. And so with the scenario, they wanted, hey, we've got to go fast because our scenario is, hey, we're going to have 2 fights every session with a rest. That was the goal. And trying to showcase the other side. Red Dirt does a great job of showing the role playing, and this is more of the role play through the combat.
Right.
Yeah.
And using that and showing, hey, there are multiple ways to play D&D and still tell the story. And so as I was looking through it, I was like, okay, so I asked for a little bit of backstory about Aiden's world as things were being created, and I rolled my dice. And I looked through and I was like, okay, cool. So what could I create? And as I started looking through, so I was looking to play a caster sometimes. So that gives me warlock, wizard, sorcerer, and cleric.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just looking through and I was like, okay, well, we've had, even with the extra Arlu being a cleric as a sidekick, I was like, it's still good to have that extra healing ability. But at the same point, as I was going through and I was like, okay, so I'm going to play a cleric. I made that decision. And then it was looking through and going, well, which deity fits? And it was she from the night,
the
lady
Twilight
of the night.
goddess.
Yeah. And so then it just instantly struck, okay, it's a death cleric.
Yeah.
And
wait. You rolled your dice first?
oh yeah.
No school like the old school, baby.
That's right. I love rolling dice first. I think that's the best way to do it.
Sometimes it tells you, okay, this is what I'm playing, and to be able to go from there. And then it just kind of all fell in place from there. And developing his kind of who he is, and discovering that the goddess I worship isn't something that's worshipped much outside the Elven race on the island or even the monastery. And so we had to kind of figure out, okay, so what happened to him? And so I'd been at basically the church my entire life, and just kind of been in the background, never seen, never really heard, just kind of learning and doing stuff off in the distance, like the funeral rite that I was doing in the woods.
Yes,
it wasn't necessarily that it was something in front of people. It was done out in secret by himself, because that's what the church asked him to do.
Yeah, though it's Alaxador really brings a mix to the party, and that Alaxador and Yuri can kind of give the side glance to each other of, oh man, here we go again.
Unless we're fighting.
Yeah.
in which case,
if we're fighting Alaxador, once that starts, there is a switch in him that flips, and he is a completely different individual.
And he's using goggles of the night, so he'd never even be able to see the eye roll from Yuri.
Now I have them now.
You have them now.
Originally, I didn't. I was blind. I was the only one in the group that couldn't see in the darkness.
It makes such a difference.
Is that a blind joke?
It makes
You had your owl.
Yeah. It makes such a difference now that we all have the ability to see in darkness.
Mm-hmm.
It totally does. We experienced that at Red Dirt with Poppy. I have it in my home campaign with there's a halfling rogue who doesn't have dark vision, and it's if you can get away with not having to have a torch where they can see the light coming around the corner as you approach, like that, it really changes the game for the party being able to sneak up on things. So that's cool. You guys can all do that now. Any spiffy cleric of dusk / twilight cleric / death cleric, any special abilities that you're really looking forward to, or that you already have maybe?
Yeah, no, there are several that I really enjoy. So, and that's kind of what led to the Topaz Gemborn Dragon, is because it feeds into the breath weapon is necrotic for them.
Yeah, that's so cool.
And so one of the things that cleric gets is inflict wounds, and then just a bunch of other things that you can kind of flavor with Spirit Shroud and Spirit Guardians to the necrotic side. And so playing in that death domain, able to just kind of synchronize those abilities is a lot of fun. And the channel divinity for the death domain is necrotic. It just adds extra necrotic on an attack. And so just cool. I channel my divinity and do extra damage, and it's all necrotic.
Yeah. Which is great then that they still have Arlube who could help with some positive energy healing when they're down.
Well, and the other side too is a cleric's job is not just to heal. Sometimes taking the things out before the party goes down is the best course of action. I think a lot of people, when they're, I'm the healer, they get stuck in the mindset of all I'm supposed to do is heal and buff. And that's not necessarily the whole role of a cleric. they're there to, if something goes bad, hey, I can help and get you back up and we can keep going and do some other things. But, you know, sometimes the best course of action is get the thing in front of you down as fast as possible. And clerics have some fun abilities to make that happen.
That's pretty cool. That's very, very cool. Aiden, how about this? How about the setting? Why did you choose, Secrets of Monster Island? Where was kind of the inspiration for that coming from?
Well, first off, the name, Monster Island. Tons of monsters going around, and Rivermouth mostly fears these monsters and doesn't really know much about the outside world. The secrets part is, once again, these players don't really know anything about the world other than that they live in Rivermouth, and there are other islands maybe with different types of people. And so there are many secrets in the world, and some really big ones at that they have not discovered yet. But yeah, that's the inspiration for the name. As for just various inspiration,
and there's our map.
It's an excellent map, Yodelay. Nicely done, Mark. I really.
When Aiden gave us this map, I thought it was just fabulous. And it is. We have decided it is not to scale though.
Okay, that sounds good. It's over there. If I jump streams a little bit, I feel like it was kind of Gaz inspired from that art tour.
Very, very Gaz inspired.
I still want to see the whole picture book. Okay, it has to happen.
That goes in the Gaz artistic picture book. But no, and then
as a listener, I'm now like leaning in. I'm like, "Oh, island that Alaxador is being called to." I'm like leaning in to see what does that say. What does that say? Go ahead. You were saying.
As for other inspirations, the Feywild's a big one. But I kind of wanted to do, whenever I was thinking about this world, I kind of want to do like a dark fantasy inspired Feywild.
Yeah.
Which whenever they made their characters, it really fit in well because once again, they're not necessarily these light givers who are, goody two shoes. They're very much, what you consider kind of anti-heroes in a way, in some cases.
Yeah.
Play in the gray area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We make friends with bandits and pirates.
Yeah.
There is no black and white when you're blind.
Well, and we see that, we have this bandit activity, kind of, mostly human against human, there at the beginning, like episode 2, and then you guys head out, you take the caravan out, but Aiden, as you were saying, like as early as episode 4, you guys get out there to the settlement and you realize that this area is not unclaimed. Like there are some sentient beings that are already out there. Aiden, is that like one of the secrets of Monster Island, is that there are cultures and communities? It's not just like a human, Rivermouth centric only one. The Rivermouth is not the only settlement, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's one of the main things I kind of want to cover is that Rivermouth's not the only place that exists, and that there are many different cultures on the islands. And the next few episodes, which I'll give you a little hint, we do get to explore a new culture with some lizard folk. So
that's cool. I want to circle back around to that. I'm really interested in that. Guys, were party members, were you guys surprised to encounter like other people's already out there, that someone quote unquote had gone before?
Well, that's to be able to find that there were people who were from Rivermouth out there already. We already knew that there's possibly going to be a creatures that we know that there's lizard people out there. We know on the other side of the island, I think we already knew there were water genasi. So we already knew there were others out there, but actually being from Rivermouth, there had already been an established colony out there. That kind of took us by surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah, and kind of the gray area of if someone that you respect or in a form of authority is telling you, hey, we're going to go do this thing, it's not always black and white when it comes to, oh, that land over there is unclaimed and it's completely ours. We're going to go settle it for the good of Rivermouth. And you get out there and you find there's someone already there. And where does that come in your morality? What are you going to do about it? Is this person that you have now met, which is now your foe, because you've got all these people behind you in a caravan, is this now a bad guy, or is this just someone who has this land, farms this land, gets fruit and vegetables, and he lives their life?
Yeah, like when you guys, sometimes it's really clear, like the hermit, at the who ends up attacking you guys, or maybe with Alaxador, when you first meet Alaxador, there's this, okay, where does he fit in that regard? So do you think coming in, the great thing I like is that you guys, despite combat, you guys aren't necessarily murder hobos. You're not just slaying everything.
No, in fact, actually, we've kept some alive for the purpose of we know that we need that person alive. We need we were asked, for example, Lyrica's son was asked that we keep him alive. We were asked that then we thought, well, we need to keep the bad guy, the orc, alive, because we're going to have to question him and find out what's going on. So
you bet.
We don't necessarily, if it's a monster, if it's an actual monster, we're going to have to dispatch it, but
not necessarily.
Like what?
I'd say I don't think you guys have spared any monsters yet, but we might
the Great Elk
that later.
Well, that's not a monster.
But and if you listen in that episode, Alaxador didn't want to fight either of them.
That's true.
His first reaction was to, hey, this is her will. They're fighting each other. Let them, they're not doing anything to us. There's no reason for us to step in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
was that the Gorgon and the Great Elk?
That one, and
I believe Yuri was the one that snapped the first shot.
Yep.
Yeah,
I was the one who tipped the balance of the scales on which side I chose for a particular reason, and I kind of tipped the scales on that one, and everyone else just had to follow because that was now becoming a threat to the party. Not just between those two.
Yeah.
Because
so
Derek was
stuff. So Derek, was that a ranger kind of natural versus unnatural type of decision?
Yeah, so it is one of those things where you make a determination on what you know from the past. Hey, there's a deer in front of me. I know that deer is a member of nature, and it has fed me. It has supplied goods to me for my leathers and stuff like that, versus what is it, a gorgon that we
a gorgon,
giant metal bull that was
giant metal bull.
Giant metal bull. I can think of no better symbol for capitalism.
So it's capitalism versus nature.
Statue
you
like
and Yodele, what does it mean when you wore it for a while? You wore capitalism?
That's right.
Strangely, this tracks. I don't know exactly why, but
that seems a character. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, that's awesome. So we keep moving in. We find this cave. We find the mysterious magic items of the crystal communicators, and then something that is obviously leading into the next arc, and that's this obsidian tablet. Dun dun dun.
Well, before we get to that, can we talk about crystal the
communicators?
Idea of putting in these little, we basically all have Bluetooth communicators now that we can talk to each other. Genius.
We have two forms of it, and they both are sentient and have history.
Yeah.
So we're able to ask them questions of things we don't know.
And then talk to each other. They communicate.
I don't know where you got an idea like that. Hey, Alexa, where did he get an idea like that?
It reminds me of a mix of Star Trek and a Babelfish. It's what it reminds me of, right?
And it really
So
helps.
Aiden, what about that?
So that whole thing, I'm pretty sure I came up with on the spot. I don't think we necessarily.
Wow.
I did not think about them using the gem creatures as communicators. I wanted to show that they fell into pieces, so maybe they could form like a sword or something cool with it. That I was gonna be like, okay, like a +1 longsword. But of course, no one in the party uses a sword. So they're like, can we use communicators? I was like, sure.
Well, they still talk to us. Like, even though they were in all the pieces, the guy still talked to us. And it was like, the simple question was, well, do you want to go with us? Come out of this cave? Sure. okay, can you still talk to your other pieces? Well, yeah, all of us can communicate to each other. And then it was just like, okay, cool. So you take a piece, I'll take a piece, and we'll just use this as a relay system.
Yeah.
It's
And
brilliant.
So you guys have like 2 other people with you. It's just we never bring it up all that often.
Right.
Um,
So anyway, the communicators. I love the idea that we could actually go far away from each other and still communicate to one another because we've all got earpieces of crystalline beings in our ears.
Microbots, crystalline entities, and babblefish all in a blender, and that's what comes out. It's really cool.
definitely feels more spelljammery, but yeah.
Well, you never know. It's Secrets of Monster Island. Where did they come from? How did they get here?
Mm-hmm.
You never know.
That's the magic word, spelljammer.
So anyway, so about the tablets. Then we find the tablets.
Yeah. Ed, Alexador seems to be the one carrying it. Seems to be the one that's kind of been more drawn to it than the others. Was that just the way the ball bounced in dividing up inventory, or did it pull to one of you guys?
Well, I think from my backstory, being in a church all the time, it kind of resonated for me, feeling like Alaxdor would have been drawn to it. You know, reading of a tablet or something ancient, you know.
And nobody trusts Yodelay with anything.
No. Except for the cool magic items.
And then once he picked it up, we realized kind of what it was fairly quickly. And then nobody else wanted to take it. And so it just kind of, it's been with Alaxador. And so at that point it's with Alaxador, and it's just kind of, I don't think if somebody else had asked for it, I don't think he would have kept it, but I don't know. That'd been an interesting thing to experience in game.
Eric, it seemed like Yuri was very much like, nope.
Yeah, so that whole thing's a little bit beyond his. There's a strangeness to it that is in the back of his head that he doesn't know what or why he doesn't want it, but on why he is so averse to it. There's just something back there that is telling him that he shouldn't do it. Kind of a little of a battle in his head on why, but that's going to come out probably later down the road. And
very cool.
So I think he knows a cleric is probably better with this stuff than a ranger with his little displacer kitten on his side. Is probably puts Janice from accounting in danger.
I'll say Derek, ever since the beginning, whenever we started talking about this campaign, has been really like, you're gonna throw a cursed magic item at us, and we are not gonna. I mean, with his +1 bow that he got handed by the shadow, he was okay, does this curse? And I was like, no, not necessarily.
But you still took it without even checking.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it's a +1 bow.
It's like +1 bow.
I'm a ranger. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
Ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy.
Even in episode 14 or 15, there was that banter between Alaxador and Yuri of, like, you just used it. It's fine. Well, I know it still creeps me out, though.
Yeah, and then Alaxador, the creature that's in the obsidian tablet, Aklis, the demon.
Yes.
Alaxador fights him off pretty well. I think we got one bad roll against him, and I think that kind of led you to if Yuri would not Yuri, Yodelay would pull up the map again, where it's the top left island that's kind of tempting him.
Right.
There's a piece there that Aklis wants.
Yeah.
It gave you a chance to do a little bit of a lore dump about the Fae and Aklis.
Yeah, whenever they got to the Water Genasi tribe, and Teardrop was there, and so I don't remember how exactly it happened, but I did eventually lore drop about the 3 Fae that came together, and created these. Wanted to leave the Feywild and created these islands to escape from the madness of the Feywild, and many years ago.
Well, I think it was Alaxador asking questions about the tablet and Aklis, because the Water Genasi had been around longer and he knew nothing of it, and so he was searching for any information because when we first thought, our first thought was, okay, this is going to lead to something and release something, but it could be good, it could be bad. We didn't know, because not always is bad things trapped. I think the party now thinks it's a bad thing trapped, but I
yeah, that's a great.
You could just as easily trap a good deity like that.
I don't know what
Especially
you're
the
talking
Fae.
about. Yodele sleeps with fantastic dreams every night.
I know. Oh,
Oh,
episode
your
15,
dreams.
the dreams. We're all having horrible, horrible dreams, and Yodele is skipping through the
Sleep
field
like a baby.
Flowers.
with
every
his
night.
echo. And then actually the best moment, of course, was when we're Alaxidor's going through his horrible dream with Aklis, and Mark says, your dreams are bumming my dreams out, man.
Now, what is? I've got to say, is there a mechanic like you made your save and others didn't? What's happening there, or is it just you don't carry the tablet, Yodele?
Yodele carries himself with a certain lightness, a certain bit of carefree that I don't think can be penetrated by these psychic
jovial nature.
Helm
had a
horror
really
hat,
good
just put it on your
childhood.
head.
He grew up rich. His parents were always there. They gave him everything he wanted. He really wants for nothing.
He's running around with his imaginary friend. He's cool, playing patty cake.
Life is good.
Meanwhile, the Echo is having horrible nightmares. He has to run with Yodele through the. Never mind.
He's forced to
I'm
run
his
with
dream.
Yodele, skipping through the meadows.
Oh, that sounds. Andrew, you mentioned, and everyone can jump in on this, that you guys you had a really good conversation about, are the tablets an answer that we're looking for, or is this a trap? That was a good PC conversation. What do we do with it? Do we trust it?
Well, I mean, there's there's things out in the world that you don't understand. And I mean, coming from the church, and Arlen and Alaxidor has had several of those conversations, about, trying to figure out how to fix his dying thing so that he can actually continue on, because the goddess that we both worship, her whole shtick, just like in Dusk with Red Dirt D&D, is to escort everything to the next life. Right. And so for Alaxidor, for that to haven't been ripped away from Arlen, is a big thing that he wants to work on and try to fix. And so just the philosophical discussions of, okay, this is something of immense power, especially when it started trying to rip itself from my hands in the volcano, when we found the second piece, that's when it started to hit Alaxidor. Okay, this isn't as good. We need to get away from here and discuss kind of what's our next plan. And, especially when that ogre wanted the tablet, I think that was another sign to us of, hey, this is something of immense power. We don't understand it yet. And we need to discuss and figure out what the plan of attack is. And I think episode 14 or 15, we discuss, okay, who do we tell about these tablets?
Right.
Even?
I don't think you
And
told anyone, did you?
And
No.
no. The
No,
only
you guys just kept it to yourselves.
the Teardrop is suspicious, I think, the water genasi.
Yeah, because basically what
Alaxidor,
you ask questions relating to the tablet, and so Teardrop's like, why are you asking these questions if you don't have the tablet? But on the other word of that, even if you don't, even if this tablet is really bad, if you guys get all the pieces and hide them somewhere, it may be better than them being out in the open for someone to come steal.
which is why we've kept them both with us and not put them down, because having two pieces and knowing where they're at with us, at least for Alaxidor, he feels like that's safer than leaving them somewhere else, because two of the tablets would have already been found.
Yeah. And what's really interesting is that Aiden, as I've had him as a DM before in other games, and Aiden works in Shades of Grey a lot. So it's not always all good and all evil. There's different points. And when Dalvir points out, there is stuff going on in the city that you've got to be aware of, that there might be something kind of insidious going on there. So it just adds a whole new layer of who do we trust and who do we don't. So we don't know if we can actually trust the leaders of Rivermouth. So we don't necessarily want to tell them, hey, we've got a demon in a bottle, in essence, that they might take advantage of if there are some corrupt parts of Rivermouth. So right now we're the only ones we trust.
And to go further into that, not only did the orc say that, but the Water Genasi told us that as well.
Yeah.
That, there's a difference in the story from the Water Genasi versus what Rivermouth had told us about what happened with the last Monster Hunter tribe. And we can't go back and ask the only one that quote unquote survived because he's not there anymore.
Right.
Yeah, he died. Yeah, about to say Dalvir tells you that I don't remember exactly how it was, but it was a completely different story.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys have no clue who you're supposed to trust in that scenario. And you guys, leaving the main island, you might find answers beyond the island that you're on.
Yeah. As a listener, I'm super excited to find out what you guys do with the lizard men, because Aiden, you are definitely setting them up that these are not the hissing, slithering, slee stack type of cannibalistic lizardmen. I mean, sure, maybe the occasional barbecue man is good, but they're not, necessarily looking to put every human on a skewer.
One thing I will say that heavily influenced me was whenever I had a talk with Ash about lizard folk, and we basically came to the conclusion that the current lizard folk are kind of much how the drow are, where it's kind of like they're the stereotypical I'm gonna eat everything including my friends type thing. And we're like, we thought about it and we were like, that's not all that great. So yes, it is definitely a reimagined lizard folk. There's probably a few lizard folk that still eat various different creatures, but most of them are just normal, and they're just different than other lizard folk.
I like that happens in Ratoya a lot. We have orcs that aren't these violent raiders, and gnolls aren't these automatic slave capturing just genocidal maniacs. And drow elves aren't all evil. So it's a good twist. Who knows what other races think of humans? Like, if all you saw was in essence like the human military, you might think, oh my gosh, these violent humans, right? Or maybe that's true anyway. I don't know.
The realization again that the people of Stormwatch, the humans, the good guys, there's some really horrible elements possibly in that we can't trust.
And even like with Dalvir, I mean, you guys assume that he was just all evil, but once you actually started talking to him, he had some very valid reasons for doing what he did. He was just very not quite right in the decisions he was making.
He just went to an extreme.
Yeah,
he went to very big extremes.
Yeah, we pointed him out about it. You can't. Okay, yeah, there might be some horrible elements inside the government of Rivermouth. You can't just destroy the entire town, women, children. You can't. That does not take care of the problem.
That just creates a different problem.
Yeah.
No doubt. No doubt. As you guys are getting ready in I think it's episode 15, the last one that I've listened to, the last one that's public. It's besides maybe the one that dropped today. So is that we have Andrew, you did a really creative thing with Glyph of Warding, and you were calling it your insurance policy. And as a listener, I had no idea what you were possibly doing. And then when you kind of meta reveal that it's Glyph of Warding, where that is just, it's brilliant. Where did that come from? How do you think that it works? Like, what's going on there?
So the thing is Alaxador, with worshiping the deity that he does, the whole thing is everybody has the right to their life. As Aiden and I were talking through and kind of discovering who she was and kind of what this deity is, you know, you're allowed to protect yourself. You're allowed to do things like that, but you don't have the right to just go kill somebody. That's not our rights as, you know, the people of this plane. You know, they have plans. As you hear, Alaxidor she has a plan. That's part of her plan, you know, several times. And so when they say that they're just going to kill him, his first thought is, well, that's kind of a cop out. That's not really making him pay for what he's done. This person has caused pain and trauma and suffering to people. You know, shouldn't he pay for that? Paying with the life is not really paying for it in Alaxidor's mind. And so then you have the son that was ripped away, you know, and Alaxidor's like, well, that's the same situation. What if he messes up?
Yeah.
You know, just because the father's asked for us to spare his life doesn't mean that the leaders here are going to do it. And so Alaxidor had to step in with something because we were getting ready to leave.
Let's say
And-
episode 15 was one of my favorites because we dealt with the repercussions of what these people were doing. And so we had to sit down and take the time and figure out, okay, what are we doing with these people? How would you all approach this fact that the Rivermouth just wants to kill them? They want them gone, not to do anything with it. And I mean, yeah. And so Andrew came in with that, and I was sitting there like, okay, that works.
It really helps to make it a living, breathing world. You know, that
Yeah.
life is continuing in Rivermouth even when you guys are gone.
Right. And so as I was looking through it, it's actually, I'd been looking through Alaxidor's spell list and saw that I had that. And I was like, it's a ritual, so that doesn't cost a spell slot. And then I had Feign Death on there too. And I was like, well, that's perfect. You can set this up ritually classing Glyph of Warding, because it literally states in there, you put any spell on there that you want underneath it, and you can set conditions and situations that this basically resolves. And one of the things that it mentions in Glyph of Warding is you can put a fireball inside in a book, and when a certain page is turned, the fireball explodes.
Right.
You know, that's the trigger. And so I started thinking, okay, what can I do to save these people? What can Alaxidor do to save these people with this knowledge? And so that's when he came up with his insurance policy. And I didn't run it by Aiden beforehand. Not at all. It was just kind of okay, let's go with this and let's see if it works. You know,
there's moments in that episode where I think I'm like, okay, what does Glyph of Warding do? Because I didn't remember what Glyph of Warding did. Because no one uses that spell. It's very much a DM like, it's a DM like, okay, I'm going to use the spell to, you know, you flip the page, there's a fireball. You know,
it's
not very much like a player. It's not very much a player spell.
Right. It's usually
I don't know that I've ever seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. On items and things and traps. I don't know that I've ever, heard of it being cast like on a person for their actions, and I was just blown away by the brilliancy of it. So
it was one of those spur of the moment things, as I was just kind of, when it happened, and Alaxidor just kind of, you know, the question I asked you guys, I think in your last roundtable, when did the character become real? You know, and they start doing things kind of like your, spoiler alert, your dimension door.
Yeah.
You know, it's just one of those things, is eventually the characters just kind of take over. And they just do things. And like, I don't think me as a player would have done that, but Alaxidor doing anything he can to save a life, because that's what his goddess has commanded, you know, that all life is precious, you know, and so that's where that came from.
Yeah. That judgment is her job, not necessarily people's jobs. So
and
very, very nice.
And with that, I mean, it really shows that the death of Cameron and the capturing these bad guys does have repercussions in the world, and we'll actually see that later on, that Cameron's death does have repercussions as the monster hunters are leaving.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I forgot to go there just a second ago. To me as a listener,
forget it. We didn't want to talk about that episode where we failed.
It does. Yeah, it feels like the party's kind of first failure to a certain extent, that you couldn't save Cameron.
Not my death at all. That wasn't a failure at all.
He didn't want to be saved. if anything, growing up rich has taught Yodele is that everybody's life is worth a minimum of 500 gold pieces and a diamond. You go get that, you bring him back. That's it. It's fine. Everybody's okay. He chose not to come back.
Well, he chose not to come back because if he came back, he would not have an afterlife, much like how Arlen didn't. So there's a really tough choice you have to make there, where if you just want to be a ghost wandering forever, you can come back, but if you decide to die, then you get a
Yeah.
But Arlen, when you guys got back to town, well, okay, first Cameron, what do you as a players, I know Aiden had just mentioned that there will be, but what repercussions do you guys see? Do you think there's a timeline thread or something that goes off because Cameron is gone? Do you guys know of any relationships in town that'll be affected because he's not back?
Because Cameron died?
Yeah.
There's actually going to be one that comes up in the very next episode.
Oh,
release.
So yes, stick tuned tomorrow. Tomorrow on the YouTube
You'll
channel.
see some of the
Monster Island,
ramifications.
there will be a reason, something that happens that because of his death actually happens, and I think it's the next episode.
It is.
Yeah,
it is the next
it's
episode.
the next
Yeah,
episode.
so make sure you tune in tomorrow for the next episode where you'll find out a repercussion of Cameron's death that actually impacts the monster hunters.
And more repercussions will happen while the monster hunters are gone, as the world slowly learns to, well, things happen to the people in the town, like after all this has happened. Like I promise you that like Dalvir and Lurko's son will not be the same when they come back, because they've been given a second chance, and they're probably going to take that second chance. What Andrew did is going to have major repercussions on what I was originally planning on doing. So he changed a lot about what is going to happen with that one spell he did.
Oh, that's cool.
And
I love it whenever I love it whenever we have not stymied, but whenever players do things that make the DM go, oh man, that changes things. I love that when that happens.
That's way more interesting. I'm gonna roll with that.
Yeah. It makes the story alive rather than reading it out of a book. That's why we do this. It's why we do Red Dirt D&D, is the idea that this stuff you're not reading a book. It's not set in stone. The players, the DM, everybody comes together and creates the interaction that could happen, and anything could happen. It's all up to how we want to play it. And sometimes the dice tell the story, and sometimes the characters and the DM just go, you know what, this is where this needs to go, and we just kind of move in that direction.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Circling back and getting close to our wrap up here. Arlen, you now have a chance to pay, because of the treasure that you guys found. Arlen has a chance to pay off his debt on his resurrection. And it struck me that
his name was Beauregard. And he was made out of gold.
That's right.
I'm gonna stay focused, even though part of my brain just go talk to me about that, Yodele. I suddenly feel like we're in a therapy session.
Yodele's therapy session.
To be honest, that's what this all is.
That's right.
Yodele is actually sitting on a couch, talking to a therapist, and he is imagining all of these things.
Yeah, Yodele's actually an insane asylum, and we are all just figments of his imagination.
Yep. You guys are a bunch of like toys.
We are all
like Dragonborn toy. He's got all, it's, yeah.
I'm Batman.
Anyways, back on focus.
I was gonna say that as a listener, it seemed like paying off that debt was really important to Arlen, and I'm wondering if that connects to the fact that he did choose to come back in his resurrection. And you mentioned a line of, well, maybe in the time I have left, I can do something to reinstate my soul or reinstate my afterlife. So
I figure that's a good, and also that's one of the reasons I think why he's gotten so close to Alaxador is not only is Alaxador of the same kind of faith of the Mother of the Night, but
right.
also maybe there's the two of them working together can find a way to make sure that when Arlen does die, he's not just some revenant roaming the plains, never at peace.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing about Arlen is that he has what 600 years still to live. He's an elf. He's full blood
Possibly,
elf.
yeah.
So
He thought he
I
had
mean-
600 years to live when we resurrected him.
I'm really hoping I don't die again. I think that would be really nice.
let's say Arlen, if he lives his normal lifespan, outlives the entire party, like
Sixfold.
well, five,
Yeah.
so yeah,
That's
sixfold,
what
except for
burns
Yuri,
him
who
up all
lives a
the
little
time
bit
is that
longer.
I've already outlived him.
That's right. I've already outlived Arlen.
That's cool. That's cool. Well, it's been an hour. As we get ready to wrap things up, what are you guys looking forward to? Either you as players or DM, or with your characters? Is there anything that you're like, I'm really looking forward to when we get to do this?
My character was going to go choose to be a rogue and do multi-class and rogue, but I decided, you know what? I'm just going to go monk all the way to see what I can do with this monk character. So I'm really excited to seeing how much I can build this monk and what we could do with it. That's my favorite part.
That's awesome.
I'll go next. So as I said in my introduction, Ranger was a bad class from 5e is what everyone said, and
That's
Tosh
just the
did
Beastmaster.
Okay, well, there's a lot. They've made a lot of changes to the Ranger chassis over the last couple of books, and so I'm excited to see the new pieces that they put in there, and play those higher level, those higher levels where like I'll have a swimming speed and a climbing speed. So like any tree that's out there, I'm going to be able to just hop up. The favored foe where I've had favored foe since level 3, but focusing on like one guy that you don't have, so I don't have like built in. I hate orcs, or I hate where you're able to anybody that I find that I don't like is now my favorite foe, and I like that a lot more. And so I'm excited to see how this translates for double digit levels. So 12,
That's
13,
cool.
14 up there. Am I able to contribute with the rest of my team from where I'm at, and actually have some higher level spells, because Rangers don't have very many spells.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm super excited to see where you're able to take this Gloom Stalker. It's really, really cool. So Alaxador or Mark, I should say Andrew or Mark, any things you're like, I really hope we get to see this?
I'll go. I am really looking forward to discovering more about the worlds and the deities. We got a little bit of it in this next arc that kind of made Alaxador go, huh. And so it's fun to see that, and just the development of Alaxador, even over the last several sessions, and the changes that have happened to him because of it. And seeing his progression and just the progression of the party, and realizing the interactions with everybody and how it changes things. Like Michael commented, Arlen and Alaxador have gotten kind of close over the same deity, and trying to, have a common course of action, trying to, okay, what can we do to fix this problem?
Yeah.
Since you came back from the dead. And she said, well, your afterlife is forfeit now. I'll never come back for you. I come for you once, and what can we do to fix that? And then, just trying to keep Yodele within 60 feet. It is harder than it sounds.
Yes, it really is.
And the ramifications of him going beyond that. But
I don't know
no,
what
it's
you're
just
talking about.
but just delving into each character's kind of backstory and history. Aiden has already touched a little bit on each of us a little, but to see kind of where that goes and develops, I love that part of stories when you get, you know, when the DM actually starts pulling in your history and what's going on and using that in their world.
You bet.
And to find out today that the things I did in episode 15 have changed what he had in the grand scheme for the story is really cool, because I didn't know that. Like at the end of that session, he made the comment of, well, you definitely avoided a couple of fights with that. And I'm just like, oh, well, that's cool. Sorry I took away our fights for the day, guys, but
No, you guys were gonna be in Rivermouth longer than I. Well, I originally planned you guys were gonna be there a little bit longer, but then made that choice, and you guys were immediately setting sail the next episode. So
yeah, that's cool.
And so that's kind of what I'm looking forward to. I think that's what Alaxador is looking forward to, and to discover kind of his purpose for being here and being saved by the Mother of the Night as well.
Very cool. Very cool. Mark, is Yoda looking forward to getting like an Echo Cycle or an Echo Wing or?
Pretty close. I'm looking forward to the third attack per action, and I'm looking forward to the next level where I can use my Echo as a even further to explore familiar. You can send him like 1,000 feet away, and then with a bonus action, swap places. Swap places that quick. Bam! I'm there.
I see your 60 feet, and I double it to 1,000.
My days of clanging around in heavy armor with disadvantage on sneaking are over. I will just appear. I manifest.
Anyways, I'm looking forward to killing Yodelay.
I'm also
and banning Echo Knights from the campaign.
And never allowing Echo Knights at my table ever again. But actually, I same as Andrew, I'm looking forward to seeing how these characters grow, getting more into their backstory, because there's definitely some more things we can delve into with what their life was before they became monster hunters, the people that they knew before they became monster hunters, all that sort of thing. I mean, Arlen has some pretty interesting things, and yeah.
I am interested in finding the guy in the woods.
Yeah, it's true.
Very nice. Very nice. Which island are we going to next? Do we know that tomorrow?
The one to the southeast.
Yodelay, open up the map.
To the one in the southwest.
The one the Water Genasi wants you to go to.
Yeah.
Is where they decided they're
Island
go.
Teardrops wants us to go to.
Or Teardrop. Yeah. Awesome.
Woohoo! With our pirates.
Well, you guys, everybody out there can check out Secrets of Monster Island. It drops every Monday or midnight on Sunday if you want to pick that up, like a real fan. And
there are several of us that watch it at midnight.
There are Alexa, Andrew, you and Red Dirt patron Ben, you guys have a contest to see who is gonna see it first. You can make that first comment at 12:01.
Well, if it posts at 12:01, there have been some nights where at 12:20 it still hasn't posted, even though it's set to post, and so you're sitting there going, refresh, because he beats me to this.
Well, it's either I schedule it for then, and then like it hasn't finished completely uploading to YouTube by then, so it uploads later. So it's usually
AOL.
But it's usually sometime. It's usually sometime on Monday. One of these days, it's gonna be like Monday, like Tuesday night, and I'm gonna be like, "Oh, I barely made it." Like 11:59 on Monday.
It's okay. We've had the 4 a.m. already.
Yeah.
So you just got it when you got up the next day.
Yeah.
That's dedication to stay up that long to get that first comment spot, Andrew.
It didn't happen that day.
Awesome. Guys, any last things before we wrap this up? You guys were wonderful.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for hosting us, Brooke. It's good to see
thanks,
you.
Brooke.
I was also the one that received the invite of, hey, would you? And I was thrilled at the opportunity to be able to talk about Secrets of Monster Island. So, Aiden, do you want to take us out?
Last
he,
time on Secrets of Monster
Yes,
Island.
that's the intro. Last time on Secrets of Monster Island, and we'll find out more.
We'll find out more next time on Secrets of Monster Island.
Woo!
See you guys.